This episode is brought to you by thedolphinwars.com.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to King Dolphin Television. This is episode 301. I am Raymond. I am author of the Dolphin Wars book trilogy and ruler of the greatest pod on YouTube. Tonight's going to start our first mini-series on the interview channel. We will be doing a two-parter on aircraft maintenance and how that works. Tonight's guest is Kiriah Whitner. She is a student at the Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics and has been working on her FAA Airframe and Powerplant certifications. Before we get started, welcome, Kiriah.
Thank you.
Sorry about that. Trike is a little agitated. Welcome, and hope you enjoy the show tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Before we get started, if you like these interviews, if you like the reviews that we do, if you love the chaos that is on Just Cuz, please like and subscribe here at King Dolphin TV, and especially watch. We want to get the watch hours up. So that we can eventually get monetized. And also, if you are so inclined, I'm going to be putting up the tip link on the top of the chat. Please put some, if you're so inclined, please put some ducats in the bucket. That will keep the channel going, help make StreamYard more affordable. I just saw they're changing their plan. Lovely StreamYard. And just keep the channel going here, and that so people can enjoy what we're doing here. So before we get started, let me welcome everybody who is here. We've got 5 people, but I know that never lasts long. We will get more people as we get going. I'd like to welcome Allison S. to the chat. I would like to welcome Tim of FKHC 2005. Welcome, sir. I'd like to welcome, I wonder if this is a relation, Julie Whitener. Welcome to the chat. I know you're related somehow. Welcome to the chat. You're going to have a great time here. And I think that's all our chatters for right now, but it will increase. Let us Allison S. used to be Allison W. Okay, a family affair.
Hi, Mom. Hi, sister.
I wonder if the third sister will be coming on. Time zones, if I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, she's probably asleep.
Sandra says, Julie blames us for Kiriah's career choice. I'm sure we'll talk about that.
Yeah, I wish I could blame you.
Okay, and now we'll talk welcome my amazing, I will welcome my amazing lifeguards. Other channels call them wrenches, other channels call them Mars, but since we're an aquatic pod, I call them lifeguards. We had Legatus Legionai. Unfortunately, he was beaten out by FKHC 2005, but he's the first lifeguard in, and he'll be the last one out. We have Let's see. Tim FKHC says Family Affair. Where's Sebastian Cabot? Oh, I remember that show. So we've got and we've got my amazing producer Sandra Feliciano. This is a King. This is a King Dolphin TV in color, a Sandra Feliciano production. Love you, honey. So it's actually two family affairs, Tim. And I have got to. There's somebody I'm forgetting. My favorite polar bear. Can't forget him. Load up a bus. Gilbert. .screen. Hashtag roar. Hope you're feeling better, buddy, and stay safe with the hurricane. He's in Florida, so we got to keep an eye on that bear. Okay, so how we do this, and I know the people in the chat will probably disobey this right off the bat. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a nice breaking session where we get to know you, find out what all you've done before, your work at PIA, etc. Then we will open it up to the chat to ask questions. So if you put questions in there now, I will put them up there, but you guys got to be patient. I know that's a hard word for you guys. Patience. Okay, so without further ado, Kiriah, tell us about yourself before you started PIA.
Okay, so
is it Pittsburgh?
Yes, it's PIA stands for Pittsburgh Institute of Aeronautics, but it's at the Hagerstown location. So hi everyone, my name is Kiriah. Before I started at PIA, right before I was fueling airplanes at Dulles International Airport in Virginia. And I did that for about 6 months. Right before that, I was looking for, I'm going to start kind of at the beginning, actually. Right out of high school, I got my associates in education at a community college and was working on being a middle school math teacher. So after getting my associates, I went to Shepherd University for a couple years, started student teaching when COVID happened, and I just kind of woke up one day and realized that I hated it and I didn't want to do it for the rest of my life. So after that, I leaned a lot on my dad, who does automotive mechanic work. And I got with him, started working on cars a little bit with him, got a job as like a lube tech, just doing oil changes and stuff, learned a lot about cars, loved it. His full-time job is at Dulles International Airport. And so I started looking at apprenticeships there for heavy mechanic maintenance and electrician apprenticeships. I think there might have been a welding apprenticeship. Ended up not being able to get any of those. So I found the fueling job and I did that for 6 months. Had a friend at PIA who graduated 2 semesters ago a couple months ago. But anyways, he loved the school, told me all about it. I did a lot of research on the school, aviation maintenance, and I toured it. I loved it. And I've been going there since August. So
August of this year?
August of 2023.
Okay. All right. So and here's where we find out what made you, after someone told you about PIA, what made you decide aviation was something you wanted to do?
Yes. So fueling planes at Dulles was really, really cool. And I loved being on the airport. I loved the planes that I was fueling. I just thought it was really amazing. There wasn't a lot of like versatility in terms of like aircraft at Dulles because it's mostly commercial. But I did get to see I fueled most of the smaller commercial jets, but like seeing the small ones lining up with the giant double-decker ones. I just thought it was really crazy, and like, how are these things flying? And also it kind of relates to like my reasoning for specifically aviation maintenance. When I was a teacher, I was like or when I was working on being a teacher, I was super passionate about like helping people, specifically children at that time. But I wanted to go into a career that really mattered and where I could still help people. And automotive maintenance was there, and I was interested in that, but there wasn't really a clear pathway of how to, there's so many different ways to go. And PIA was just kind of right there. And I just thought it was really crazy. And I was super nervous. I didn't know like if I was going to be able to do it, but when I toured PIA, everyone assured me, they were like, you'll be fine. And we teach you everything. So I hope that kind of explains why.
I was also, I know someone here who gave you some other experience in aviation.
I know, and I wish that if I could go back in time and really like truly appreciate that, because you or Mrs. Feliciano took me on a flight for my bat mitzvah when I was 13, I think. Gosh, my memory's so bad. I barely remember it, but I didn't even think about it as a career. And I never looked at it again until a year or two ago. And I just wish I could go back in time and really appreciate and try and learn more when I was there.
I remember when we were doing that test flight, and we told you, you're going to go up for a few hours, and you just jumped. I remember that. I remember you just jumped for joy.
We'll get into this later, I'm sure, when you ask me, but I go up and I fly in small planes, not on the regular, but more often than I ever expected to now. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been working on this since August of 2023.
Yes, sir.
Now it's called Airframe and Powerplant. So what does each of those mean?
So the certifications, at least at my school, I'm going to break down how my school works because this kind of goes into it and helps explain also how I'm getting them. So the way my school does it is we do Powerplant first, but Powerplant also entails a lot of general subjects. So I started off with very small, like math, physics. We did weight and balance. We did theory of flight, classes like those. And then we got into Powerplant, which is pretty much all engines, and everything that goes into those. And the Powerplant certification is testing based off of your general and your Powerplant subjects. Sorry, I'm nervous.
You're doing great. You are doing great.
But yeah, so the certifications basically give an individual the legal signing off of work done to either a power plant or an airframe. And so the airframe side is what I'm working on right now. So I actually just got my temporary power plant certification, and we can talk about that process if you want to. But so the airframe actually entails a lot more. I was just telling my dad this, entails a lot more than what it comes off as. So airframe has to do with electricity, it has to do with pneumatic, hydraulic power, and landing gear, stuff like that. So
it's more into the systems part of it.
Yeah. Power plant definitely is too, but power plant is really just everything that makes the engine work. And then airframe is anything that helps the airframe fly.
Okay.
And land.
Okay. No, that's great. Okay. Right. And you've completed your power plant. Now,
Yes.
Let me ask, is it, you said you could do either or, is it preferable could you go and branch off into a power plant only job, or is it preferred that you have both to go?
Yeah, so I think most of the time, both of them are preferred. A and P mechanics, usually you want both of them. However, especially at my school, we do a lot of career fairs, and we have the opportunity to talk to so many employers. And there are jobs like engine building is a huge one at like GE. Yeah, there's other places that really just focus on building the engines. And for that job, you only need your power plant certification. And I think I might be wrong on this, but I think same with airframe. Obviously preferred to have both, but there are definitely jobs where you are only building structural components and like sheet metal work. And so.
Okay. But you're doing both.
Yes, yeah. My school is designed to do both of them, but we were just talking about this in school that there are some people who go the 3 semesters, do their power plant, and then take that and do an engine building job. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And okay. Now this question here, and I imagine you could run a massive gamut, but what you went over some of the training, but what does the training for each certification entail, and generally what do you have to do, and finally how do you finally get the certification?
Yeah. Okay. So there definitely is a lot of information that I can tell you on that. The main thing, first off, is that in order to be eligible to take the testing, and I'll go over how the testing works, but to be eligible to do it, you either have to go to a certified aviation maintenance school like PIA, or I believe you have to have, I want to say it's something like 30 months of basically apprenticeship experience with both airframe and power plant to be eligible to take the test. And so now I'm going to explain kind of more how my school does it. So my school is 4 semesters, and it's 16 months long. So the first 3 semesters we focused on general and then power plant. So we got the small general subjects out of the way, and there's really a lot that we've went over, and we progressively. So I go to school from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. every day, and that's 5 days a week. And it started off a lot of classroom, a lot of theory, learning about how airplanes fly, learning about the physics of everything. Physics is huge. Electricity was a huge chunk of time that I spent in general and power plant. And my school, at least, is very hands-on. So progressively throughout the 4 semesters, we had a lot more time in the shop or the hangar. So we have classrooms for each semester, and then we have a pretty spacious hangar connected to the inside of the building, and we have just a lot of stuff that we're able to work on. The first thing we started off doing was safety wiring, so just basic small stuff. We have a lot of donated engines that we kind of tore down. There's a lot of measuring on in power plant, and we have a lot of troubleshooting boards. So yeah, that's pretty much how my school works. The certifications, so a lot of studying, but my school definitely makes it really easy. If you put in the work, all the resources that I've needed have been provided, if I look for them, so I have a stack of books that's probably like that high. All of them are mostly straight from the FAA. The 883s is what we study from. We have test guides that we study from. And so the way it works is after a certain amount of time and after you've taken all the classes, you sign up to take written tests. And for the power plant certification, it's a general and a written test. The general is 60 questions, and the pool of questions is, I think, somewhere around 1,000. I actually have the test guides right here. This is kind of what they look like.
Oh yeah, I've seen those.
That's my general one.
Yeah.
These have been my Bible for the past year and a half. But yeah, so I took the general 60 questions, and the Powerplant is 100 questions. And the questions aren't straight out of any of the, well, they're straight out of the 8083, which is the bigger textbooks. But they definitely reword a lot of the questions. You don't know what you're going to get. They're completely random. Some people get like 40 questions of one subject, like propellers, and I was lucky and I had pretty much all subjects on my tests. Anyways, you pass both of those, and then you go on to O's and P's, which is orals and practicals. Mm-hmm. So you are in front of a DME, which is a designated mechanic examiner. And they've also changed it recently, but my experience was based off of what I got wrong on the written test. He asked me a series of oral questions, and all of it is 70% to pass. So it's pass or fail. Higher than a 70 and you're good. And after you pass the orals for both general and Powerplant, you do practicals. So
what does that entail?
So practicals is all hands-on stuff. I did a lot. Things like safety wiring, inspecting was a huge one. A lot of things to inspect. Removing and installing, making sure you're following the book is a huge thing. Knowing how to navigate a manual, especially, and following a procedure the correct way. And yeah, stuff like that.
Wow. Sounds like our check record.
Yeah.
Now, did you have to, obviously you had to know the ins and outs of both a piston and a turbo.
For sure, yeah. When we started Powerplant, I think we started with reciprocating engines, and I think we focused on both pretty equally. Piston engines, there's so much to go over, and I don't know, so much to go over, but a lot of it does translate to turbine engines, like the systems that they use, just different components, really. So we spent, probably, I would say, a couple months on reciprocating engines. Those are the ones that we got to really tear down, measure everything. We tore it down to the crankshaft. And then after that, we started on turbine engines and talked all about the different kinds, propellers along with that too.
Yeah, because propellers require their own set of maintenance, especially with
there's a lot of different types too.
Too young to even know who the Jetsons are. We'll get to that question, Julie.
Oh no.
Okay. Let's see. So, and now it's on to the airframe, and that's going to be a different animal. That's the hydraulics, the landing gears, the electronics.
Yeah. So we did electricity a lot earlier in the program than you would think, but it had a lot to do with the general subjects we were doing. So electricity was definitely a huge chunk. That was super hands-on. We got to do a lot with electricity, which is really fun. And then towards the end of third semester, when we were getting close to taking the writtens for Powerplant, that's when we started going into airframe, and we started with pneumatic, hydraulics, atmosphere, like cabin atmosphere, air conditioning and heating, stuff like that. And now, so I'm in fourth semester now. I started a couple weeks ago, and our first subject in fourth semester is sheet metal. So we did a little bit of theory in the classroom. Well, I mean, a lot, but a lot of time in the classroom, mostly looking at numbers, math, materials, how to read, blueprints, stuff like that. And that was also a general subject. So a lot of things in my school, you go over briefly first, kind of learn the basics of it, and then a couple months later, you really get to apply it. So right now, we're working on a project. I told my mom I wasn't going to tell her what it was because I want to show them. So, Mom, don't listen to this. But it's we're making a wing right now, and it's really cool because we get to put like so many things that we've learned in first and second semester into making it. Just like measuring out all the holes that we drill, lining everything up, using so many different tools. So now we've been in the shop the past week and a half, every single day, the whole day.
Great. She says, a wing.
Yeah, it's a really small wing. It's for like a light sport aircraft. But it's still really cool because it's a huge project, and we're literally doing it we created the ribs last semester, and then we started with the spar, and now we're connecting them, putting the skin on. We're gonna lay fabric on it, and then we're gonna write like a tail number on it. So paint.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So and you're done in December, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What are your plans after graduating?
Oh, this is my least favorite question. I don't really know.
Well, it sounds like you're doing what you want right now, working on the ramp.
Definitely, yeah.
On the ramp.
I don't know. We have career fairs typically once a semester, and the career fairs are all day. We have up to like 35 employers that come in, take up all our hangar space, set up their tables, and show us why we should work for them. And they're really overwhelming, but it's very overwhelming, and it's also really cool to see how many opportunities are out there. And not all of them are like open to hiring, so it's fun to see like just the possibilities, later down the road. But right now, I am focusing on. There is a regional airline that I'm interested in. It's located in Salt Lake City, so that's one of my interests. But I would also like to get into like corporate or business aviation. I think that would be really cool. Definitely want to work on jets. I definitely want to work on turbine engines just because they're really cool. And I work at the FBO on my airport, and I met a female mechanic, and she is the director of maintenance at I think it's a corporate aviation company, and she's just really cool, and I love her, and we talk all the time whenever I see her.
Speaking of which, at the school in particular, or throughout the mechanic community in general, how many women are in what's the percentage of women
Very low. In my class, there is one other female, and she's my bestie in class. So there's 3 other semesters in my school. In the semester below me, I think there's 1 or 2 females. In second semester, there's 1 or 2, and same in first. So, we have about, typically each class is about 30 kids, so 30 students.
Okay. All right. So the percentage of females is low, but that's the same. That's the same with aviation.
For sure.
But try and hopefully that will go up as long as the quality of the work is done.
Definitely.
What happened? Okay, you've gotten your certifications. You're out there on the ramp fixing airplanes. What is the next step for someone with your ratings?
Okay, so I only have my power plant right now. So once I get my airframe, um, in GA, in general aviation, definitely the next step would be getting an IA, an inspection authorization.
Okay.
And I think that's after 3 years. You can apply after 3 years of having your A&P.
Mhm.
But I I'm not totally sure about this, but I know in commercial aviation, it works a little bit different than having IAs. I'm not sure if the commercial aviation companies like kind of bring in their own IAs. The laws might be a little bit different about the inspections and how that works. But for me, I don't know. I want to work. I want to work on planes with my hands for at least a couple years. Um, and every company I talk to always talks about, like internal opportunities within the company. And I think one of the biggest things is definitely being like a lead on a team. So you have a team of mechanics, and you would be kind of giving out the tasks, making sure everyone's doing the right tasks. And then, yeah, like that.
Okay, great. Let's see. And let's see. The other work you've done, you built fueled airplanes. Um, you pretty much fueled the big airplanes. Have you worked on helicopters yet?
No, I fueled them.
Okay. All right. Um, Lastly, and I know some. In fact, the IA we're going to have, I believe it's an IA, the AMP/IA that we're going to have next week. He's got his pilot's license. Have you thought about it?
Definitely, yeah. So my job right now, I have like 3 or 4 coworkers who have their private pilots. I think 1 or 2 of them, at least 1 or 2 of them are working towards their commercial license. And I've gotten to go up since I've worked there since December. There's a Cessna 172 that they fly, and I've gotten to go up probably like 5 or 6 times. One of the longest trips we went to the Outer Banks, and it was really fun. And every time I go up with them, if I'm in the front right seat, they'll let me take over for a minute, and it's fun because we kind of compare our knowledge, like they know where everything is and what it all means and what it all says. And they'll ask me like, oh, what does that mean? And I'll be like, how does it work? Tell me how it works. So it's really fun because we definitely, especially on the long flights, we get to go back and forth and really educate each other. So I've definitely thought about it. It would be at least a couple years of being in the field. There are a couple companies too who do some sort of agreement or some sort of program where they kind of help you and guide you get your pilot's license. And I've looked into a couple of them. It'd be really cool, but I definitely need to save some money first.
Yeah, because there's a lot of AM. I've heard some videos about a lot of AMPs that will, they'll go up and test fly the airplanes after the maintenance work and making sure everything is as it should be. That would be a fascinating.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I would love that. I think that might even be kind of its own certification too, above both A&P and pilot's license, is being able to take a test flight.
Okay. Okay, my question just. Okay, now it is a case to go to get an IA. You can't just, I've got my licenses. I can just sit around and twiddle my thumbs. No, you got to be working in the field.
Right.
And actually, that will lead to a question later on.
I've heard that the IA tests are considerably harder than any of the A&P tests, so as they should be.
Oh yeah, because you're actually signing off the you're actually signing off the level of work.
Right.
So that's been done. Okay. That is. Oh, I've got one question. This has been. This has been on my mind when I saw this picture. What the heck are you holding?
Oh no. Okay, so that must have been, let me think. That must have been, it was in Powerplant, and we were probably taking apart, let me think. So a turbo fan engine, we inspect the fan blades, and that was probably part of the casing on the outside. And those are probably stator vanes that that go around it. So it's, yeah, I would I should know this, huh? Some sort of case around a turbofan engine.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I had a better picture.
Are there, have you encountered a turbojet yet, or is it still just, or have they all pretty much gone to turbo?
I don't know if we have any turbojets at our school. Not that I can think of.
Okay.
So we have turboprops and we have turbofans. But yeah, I don't know if we have any turbojets.
Okay. And probably not. Excuse me. Probably not turbo props or helos. Have you done any of that work yet?
No. Nope. The only, we do have a helicopter at our school, but it's I don't know if it's a diesel or it might just be it's some reciprocating engine, small experimental helicopter, and it's really, really cute and tiny. It's a one-seater.
Oh, okay. All right. So, I think at that point, we've gotten through my questions. You said you had a video. Now we're gonna do this. Let me put it out here.
Yeah, so this video is right before we started working on the wing. We were practicing riveting, and so the video is kind of a compilation of my very first attempts at riveting, and they're really, really awful. but
Let me see if I can. Let's see if I can get it out there. Let's see. Okay, can everybody see that? That doesn't seem to be. And can anybody see that? Okay. I gotta figure out how we can do this. All right. I guess. Okay. I guess the best thing to do is just click on it and let's see something. Wait, I know how to do this. Hold on. Okay. Oh. Okay. StreamYard's sign. Magnifico. There we go. Now we can see it. Okay, so you're trying to drill a hole in two pieces of metal?
So right now I'm trying to combine the two pieces of metal with a rivet, and yeah, so basically you have the rivet gun holding the factory head, and then on the other side, you can see it here, on the other side of the metal is a bucking bar, and that's what creates, it kind of quickly hammers the shank of the rivet, and it turns it into a a shop head, and it compresses it. And if you do it right, it holds it pretty secure, and it's really cool how they work. And so we're going to be putting a lot of those into the wing that we make. So we had a lot of practice first before we started the wing.
Okay. Legatus Legionnaire says metal shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, working with a lot of metal right now.
Yeah. Okay. So now, let's start it. Start bringing out your questions. I'm sure I'll think some more. We've got a few out here. Okay, he's asking, you've done fueling. Do you also do the de-icing, the antifreeze of the wings in winter, or is that a separate specialty? So have you de-iced airplanes?
I haven't. No. The only de-icing that I deal with is and it's not even really anti-icing. It's just the Pris that goes into jet fuel, and that's partly for freezing of the fuel, but also a lot for bacterial growth to prevent that in the fuel systems. So, and that's just an additive that some jets get, some jets don't, because it's expensive, but it's really beneficial. So, but I've never de-iced. Maybe I will this winter.
I've been in airplanes that have gotten de-iced. That's cool.
Yeah, I've seen pictures. Yeah, I think my dad's seen it working at Dulles too.
But all right, let's see. Legatus asks, smaller commercial planes, does that include private planes? And have you gotten to see any famous people or celebrities yet?
So at my job, we do a huge variety of planes. We service general aviation, we do corporate, we do business, we do private, we do charter airplanes. I don't think I've seen any famous people. We do have some important people that fly in to the airport sometimes. I usually don't get to see them because of security. But I have heard of some famous people or celebrities flying in there if their family lives close by. But I don't think I've ever seen any. And we do have a lot of big businesses that fly in too. So some huge companies that come in.
Yeah, it's easier to fly there than Baltimore.
Yeah, exactly.
Baltimore or Dallas.
Yeah, very quick, easy.
Yeah. Legatus says, barely remember it. Wasn't that traumatic? The flight with Sandra.
I know, right? I wish I remembered it. I should have stuck with it. I would be a pilot by now.
Yeah. Let's see. Make sure you don't put hand soap into the hydraulic fluid. That would be a disaster. That would be a disaster. Okay, this is a good one. So you get to make a lot of flights. Is that like in automotives where they test drive it, see what the problem is, see if the problem was fixed, etc.?
Yeah, I'm not super knowledgeable about this. In school, we did kind of briefly talk about how the FAA has a pretty distinct, there's a pretty distinct difference in the term test flight and flight test. So for test flight, that's a pretty serious thing from what I understood, and that you need some pretty big approvals, maybe certifications to be able to do that. And then flight test, the different wording, I don't even exactly know if that means going up and, checking out the problem. I just know that there is the wording definitely matters when it comes to that. My friend who graduated from PIA a couple months ago, he works on PC-12s and PC-24s at a Pilatus. It's like a dealership basically for Pilatus. And he sent me videos of them going up on either flight tests or test flights. I'm not sure which one, but he sent me a couple of videos of going up, and I'm sure they're relatively small problems. And I think some of them were like electronic issues, and they had to go up and see if it was working at a certain, at certain standards. Can't think of the word.
Okay, here's a question for me. Now, does PIA, the work you do there, do they actually have the students work on actual planes, or are they pretty much hangar queens and just parts and
Yeah,
pieces?
all hanger queens. We do at my school. We have a Cessna 172. I think it's 1970s, and I believe it was donated to us. Not airworthy, but it's cool because the 172, that is what we do 100-hour inspection on. So we have a class where we go over like basically all the inspections and the paperwork, maintenance log entries and stuff like that. And before we do the 100-hour inspection, like physically on the plane, we have a boatload of paperwork to go over. It's all the maintenance log entries since pretty much the 70s. We have to find like all the ADs, all the airworthiness directives, see if they were complied with. And so that's really cool. We also have a King Air that sits out on our ramp. We haven't really done much of anything with that, but we do go out to look at certain components. We looked at it for the de-icing boots on the wing, and we look at the landing gear on it. We look at the propellers on it. And we also just recently we're looking at the rivets on it, panels on it. And we have a small helicopter, and we have another 172 that is pretty much gutted. I think some of the instructors there are doing some work on it. So the inside is pretty gutted. The wings are kind of taken apart. There is an engine in it, but we haven't done anything with that. And for that, we got to like look at the fuel system, kind of follow all the lines, look at all the components. And yeah, and then besides that, we just have a lot of engines, a lot of test stands. We have a couple like propellers hanging up, a couple of different types. Yeah.
Okay. Now you said test stands. Now, I was in the military, I was in the Air Force, and I am well aware of the hush houses where they take an engine and just blast it at full afterburner. And that's cool. Do you have something like that, or?
We do. We have I guess it's like a test stand. And it has like a big shield behind the engine, and then there's a place where you can run it up right behind it. And so we take that out, and we each got to run it up to see how to start it. And yeah, once you start it, like the oil is just everywhere. You can't see anything after you start it. It's so bad. But it's cool because we get to, follow directions, start it up ourselves, and play around with it, see what happens.
And push it to its limit so you can hear the roll.
Yeah. I don't think we full throttle that, but
okay.
But we do run it. And we also actually the 172, the one we did the 100-hour inspection on, while it doesn't fly, we did get to taxi it across the taxiway onto another ramp, and each of us got to do that, which was pretty cool.
Oh, okay. Now, with a lot of and I know this is probably something that you're working on with the airframe, but I know with like the Garmin GPSs and stuff like this, at your maintenance level, or when you get that, is it pretty much just swap a box, or swap one component and put in another, or do they actually have you tear apart these components?
I think in general, I think it depends a lot on the company. In general, I think it's probably like swapping the whole thing. because there are, especially when it comes to instruments, that's one thing that we are not allowed to work on, even with our certifications, is opening instruments and repairing components in instruments. That type of thing, if it's going to be repaired, needs to be sent to a specifically instrument repair station, a certified repair station. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, Legatus, he says, since you've worked on car mechanics and plane mechanics, does that mean you'll be able to work on the Jetsons flying car in the near future?
Yes. I don't know who the Jetsons are, but yes, I'm down. I would love to.
Says, and of course, your mom said she's too young to even know who the Jetsons were. Yeah, that's a long time ago. And she's very surprised that you worked on a wing. I know. Are you going to put that wing on a light sport, or is it just a proof of that you guys can do it?
Yep, no, just a proof of that we can do it. It's very tedious, so not everyone is making it perfect. You know, there's a lot of places where you can mess something up and it messes the whole wing up. So
okay. Have you God forbid, have you done any work with potential hanger rashes? You know what that is? An airplane kind of goes, oops, and ends up with a little hole against the hangar door.
No, because I'm really nervous. So I do tow airplanes at my job, and we'll tow them in the hangar, out of the hangar and stuff. And I always make sure there's people watching, at least 2 people watching, because I don't have that much money. Yeah. And there is one plane that we have to consistently push him back in his hangar. I forget what kind of plane it is, but it's a twin engine, and it's pretty big, and the hangar that it sits in is like maybe 2 feet wider than the plane. So you have to be really, really specific. And the other thing is that when it goes in the hangar, there's a little like lip that the wheels have to go up on, so it shakes a little once you push it in. So you got to get some speed, but you have to be confident in it. So
okay, and Sandra asked, and you answered this, how long will she have to work before she can become an IA? And you answered that. It's 3 years.
Yes.
Okay. Snort says, maintenance and pilot, a female Joe Patroni. Yay. Okay. Let's see. Looking down for more questions. Snort says, I managed to rivet my paws together. Ouch. Oh, here we go. Here is. Whoa.
Next question.
Yeah. Remember, YouTube is worldwide. Let's see. Oh, this is a good one. Do you sing, hum the tune "Heavy Metal" while in the metal shop?
Absolutely. Actually, the people in my class hate me because I'm really annoying, and I always sing when I'm in the shop. When I'm focusing, I'll just blurt out random lyrics.
Well, that's cool. Let's see. Snort says, does anyone without any practical prior experience in mechanics get into the training? Do they succeed? It would seem some basic knowledge would be needed. That's a very good question.
Yeah, that is a really good question. When I toured PIA and started talking to admissions about it, I was really nervous because I kind of just like figured that I didn't have any experience. Like I worked on cars a little bit, but not really in depth. I knew basic hand tools. And it turns out when I started, I had pretty average experience for both like mechanical knowledge and aviation knowledge, since I fueled planes before. And most of the people I would say in my class don't have any previous aviation experience, but I would say probably about half of my class has had some kind of mechanical knowledge before coming into it. there's people in my class who have never turned a wrench, don't know how a ratchet works. Well, didn't know how a ratchet works when we started. And there's other people who like build race cars in my class. And the thing about my school is that we are pretty much taught everything, including the tool usage. Basic tools, you kind of are on your own for that a little bit, but there's only 30 of us and our hangar is not that huge. So we're always working with each other and we have helped each other so much. My friend who didn't know how a ratchet works before, like she's good with it now, you know? So you get the hang of it. You do it so much, you progressively get more shop time and you just start having to use it so much that, it's a short amount of time, but it's all crammed together. So I definitely think that somebody with zero previous knowledge, either aviation or mechanical, can succeed as long as the work is put in and you find the resources.
And so it is so it is very much a cooperating graduate environment rather than
definitely
rather than everybody for themselves.
Yeah. And we see each other 40 hours a week for the past almost year and a half. So we've definitely gotten, like my whole class has gotten pretty close.
Okay. Hello, Herc 130. He said, I spent my first 5 years in the U.S. Air Force as a fuel systems tech before becoming a flight engineer.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. Hello. Let's see. Oh, he says, I got my A&P, then my FAA flight engineer license. Now I fly a desk. Oh, guess that happens. Oh, here's another good question. Do you have to be familiar with the Workplace Hazardous Materials Information System or whatever it's called in the U.S.? He's from Canada.
Okay. Yeah. I forget what they're called. I forget what we call them. I definitely should know this, but it is, we do have hazardous materials information. We have like 2 of the big books in our school and we go over it in our school. And even when I just fueled planes, I knew about the hazardous materials, how to deal with them, what not to do. And stuff like that. So I think every company that would definitely be a part of the training, and safety definitely being the biggest thing for every company that I've talked to in aviation in general. Safety is always number one, and I think that goes right into that category. So personal safety.
Okay. Like mechanics and electricians, do you have to have your own tools or is that company supplied?
Again, depends on the company. Most places you do have to have your own tools. And at my school, we have a tool list, mostly basic tools, but there are a couple that maybe an average mechanic might not have. But you get a tool list every semester. And I have a pretty decent size, not a rolling toolbox or anything. It's one I can fit in my car. It's one of those stackable toolboxes. So I have one of those and all my tools fit pretty snug into there. But there are some companies who supply all the tools, especially engine building companies, places like that where every single thing matters. You can't have your own tools. Another thing with tools is any specialty tools or calibrated tools are typically inventoried in the company and checked out by whoever needs to use it. And one other thing with tools too is that a lot of companies prefer, if they don't require you, to etch and shadow your tools. Etching being your name in every tool or initials or social security number or something. And then shadowing your toolbox is each tool having its own cutout. That way, and again, this is right in with safety. At the end of the day, making sure that you have all of your tools. And if you're missing one, you need to find it before that plane is able to go fly. So that's definitely a huge thing. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Herc says the The material safety data sheet.
Yes, that's what it is. Thank you.
And along with safety, do they include first aid courses?
We don't have a first aid course in our school, and I don't think I've really heard of that with companies. Yeah.
Okay.
But I have my first aid. I was a lifeguard for like 6 years, so.
Oh, okay. Man, you've done it all.
I know.
I remember when you were yay high, and now you've done everything. Okay. And now for the most important King Dolphin TV question. This one is very important and might require deep thought. What is your favorite cookie?
That
And
might be that's tough. That's tough. I don't want to be basic and say chocolate chip. So if we're not being basic, no baked cookies for sure.
Oh, no baked?
Mm-hmm.
Bake. Okay. Cool. Yes, I keep a cookie list with all my guests. Perk 130 says tool inventory and FOD check is everything when working on planes.
Definitely. We hate FOD.
Yeah. I know in the military, if you're maintenance and you're working on an air base, do you as ramp workers, line workers, it's right, line workers, right?
Yes.
Okay. As a line worker, do you go out and do like FOD walks?
We don't specifically go out and do FOD walks. It's definitely part of our responsibility. In the line room where we stay most of the time, if we're not out doing something, we have full view of the ramp. And it's a pretty open area, and there's always people working in the hangars. So if we see anything, we'll go out and grab it. Especially when they're doing construction work, like pieces of insulation flying across the ramp, stuff like that. So anytime we see it, it's definitely our responsibility to pick it up and find out where it came from if need be. And then also at school, my current teacher for Airframe, he's former military, and every Friday we line up at the end of the hangar and we do a FOD walk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guys, ask things. We've asked. If you got any other questions, please ask. This is really an interesting subject. Okay. That's a good one. Work on airport grounds. Does it require, very good question. Does it require security checks?
Yeah, definitely. I think it also, the depth of the security check depends on the security level of the airport, maybe what category, you'd probably know that. But so when I worked at Dulles International Airport, that was a pretty extensive background check, especially when I got my I forget what it's called, but it's an international stamp that goes on your badge for an international airport, and that's if like you're literally ever going to be on near the international planes, you need to have that, and that one was even more in depth. And then same at even my small airport that I'm at now, Hagerstown Regional, was I think a background check, and I have a SIDA badge. So yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. Anybody else? Wow. So you have done a lot, and you sound you sound like you are definitely happy with what you're doing and looking forward to you get your certification. Is it going to be the same style of certification as for Powerplant? Is it going to be just as brutal?
For Airframe?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the same it's the same process, same testing process. It's just nice now because I really only have one subject to focus on. So I think it'll be not easier, but just a little bit less stressful, because with general and power plant, I was studying a pool of questions that was like thousands. So
Mhm. And now you're more refined.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And a lot of, especially at school too, a lot of people refer to AMP, to the certifications, to Airframe and Powerplant certifications, as your ticket to learn. So I've learned so much in the past year and a half. But no matter where I go, it's going to be a lot more learning once I get into a company and, figure out what I'm going to be working on, and really how it works, because everything up to this point has been super general. There's so many differences in each company and in each aircraft, in each system. So everything is really basic knowledge. And so once I have those certifications to start signing off on things and start working on things, that's really, I think, when the most learning is going to take place.
Now, have tech manuals gone to the iPad, or are you still working on big paper?
I think a lot of companies have gone to iPads. Yeah.
What does your school do?
We do a little bit of both. We don't have iPads, but we do have computers, like laptops. But they definitely preach knowing at least how to navigate the paper manuals. And I think it's really important too, because a huge thing with studying is reading the book. It's a huge textbook, but that's where all the information comes from, really. And the test guides just make it so easy to memorize questions. So that is definitely a huge place where like failure comes from, is from memorizing questions from study guides and not truly understanding how something works or the theory behind it. So I agree with preaching how to use a book. And like I know I'm kind of in the same generation, but the people who are just a little bit younger than me, like, struggle. Even people around my age just struggle so badly trying to figure out where something is in a book, and just like using an index and, using a book. So I think that's a great thing that is taught at my school.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Do you not have to go through the same screening as passengers do each time while at the airport grounds, or not so?
No. When it was pretty much the same when I worked at Dulles. I don't remember what like category Hagerstown Regional Airport is, but it's relatively low security. Everything's gated, of course, and I have my own code to get in, and I always have to have my badge on me. But where I work is a little bit different than the terminal at the airport. And so I don't have to like speak with anybody when I come in. I don't have to, go through anything except a gate. So, and at Dulles, I think it was the same way. I just a little bit more, bigger gates, higher gates, more importance on shutting doors behind me. Same thing at the airport here. Like the gates, making sure they close all the way, but not the same as passengers.
Okay. While working at Dulles, did some nutcase try to set an airliner on fire by setting leaking fuel on fire with his cigarette lighter?
Not that I ever saw, thank goodness, because that would be really scary. That would be terrifying.
Yeah. Oh,
but
he's talking about Die Hard. He's talking about Die Hard. Die Hard 2. But yeah, it's got such a low. It takes a lot to put airliner.
Yeah, jet fuel. Yeah, I've heard that you can, if you got to pull a jet fuel, it'll just put a cigarette out. Won't do anything. That's what I've heard. I'm not going to try it.
No. Sandra asked, are you familiar with the Wings program for the AMPs?
No, I don't believe I am, but I would like to be.
Okay. All right. And as car engines have changed so much, is it the same with airplane engines? Do you also work on more vintage planes or just more in the last decade or two?
That's a hard question. Honestly, I don't think I really have the knowledge to answer about them changing. Yeah, I don't think I can really speak on that. Working on more vintage planes. I probably won't, just because I'm not going to go general aviation, but I definitely think there is that possibility of if you went general aviation, there's definitely a lot of people out there who fly vintage planes and will need work done. So,
okay. All right. And he asked your mom, did you get the cookie question right? And she says, yes, she's on. Oh dear, oh dear. Herc 130 says electronic flight books with 4 flight loaded is cherry cheesecake smooth. Ooh,
I
cheesecake.
bet.
Yeah, they are. They are. Let's see. She did answer that. She uses both. Okay. Sandra says it's a good way to get free continuing education credits.
Interesting.
So
I will have to check it out. The Wings program.
Yeah. I didn't know they did it for AMPs. Interesting. I know they do it for us pilots, but I didn't know that they did it for AMPs. Okay. Are there any other questions, comments? Okay. Well, then I guess it's time for show notes. Be prepared.
Oh no.
You are old enough, right?
I'm scared.
Okay.
It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. Yeah, with Mr. Raven and Sandra too. It's time for show notes. We're bringing it on. It's time for show notes. You've all been warned. It's time for show notes.
All right. Show notes. And Allison is saying it's her bedtime. Yeah, we're getting close ourselves. But what the? Okay. Show notes. So next week we will have the continuation of our talk about aircraft maintenance. We're going to have Eric Judy, a longtime AMP. He's also a commercial pilot, and I'm not sure. I believe he's an IA. Sandra, is he? Okay. Sandra's thinking about it. Yeah. So he's an IE, so he will be on. And we will continue our aviation theme on October 9th. We're going to have Brenda Tibbs. She's a owner of she's a flight instructor, and in her flying time, she has done she's flown turtles to various locations for charity, which I think is cool, and she'll be talking about that. On Saturdays, we will have Just Cuz, except for this coming Saturday, where I'm on an away mission, and so this Sunday, the 29th, we will have Just Cuz. So this Sunday, Just Cuz. And then on October 5th, we will have Dalek 451's birthday. And on the 26th, a big day in King Dolphin in the pod here, we will have a Just Cuz. It will be our 3-year anniversary. Yay! 3 years of this. And we will do a double birthday. It will be my birthday and, of course, this big lug's birthday. Let's see, where is he? Yes. Yes, this big lug and I almost share a birthday. We share a birth month. Hail to Trike. So that is what's coming up in November or October. And don't forget, everybody, keep Thanksgiving Eve penned in, because that will be the Slaughter in the Water. That is going to be epic, at least for one of us. So that is show notes. And Snorter Poopa says, take care of every human, dolphin, doggo, dalek, ferret, eagle, hedgehog, and hagfish. A wholly owned, copyright trademark, a wholly owned subsidiary of King Dolphin TV. Legatus. Oh, he's got a couple more questions. Hey, that's fine. Fine by me. Let's see. He says, working on engines, getting oily and greasy hands. Does the washing foam soap smell ever come out?
Not really. Especially jet fuel. Jet fuel smell never comes out. Everything smells like jet fuel.
Oh, boy. Let's see. I agree, Herc. And I'm sure Sandra does too. More women in aviation is a win for all of us. Yes, indeed. And now that you know how to fix plane engines and make them fly, do you think working or hobby with those model planes is a plus with your expanding skill set? Will you be flying those too? So like the radio controlled ones, I think he means.
I think it would be really cool. I have no experience. One of my classmates does fly RC planes, and I think those are super cool. One day when I have a lot of money, I'll probably get into it.
or get a drone. Get your drone license.
Yeah, a drone would be cool. Yeah.
That's a nice way to do it.
Yeah.
All right. So that is show notes.
It's time for show notes. It's time for show notes. Yeah, with Mr. Raven and Sandra too. It's time for show notes. We're bringing it on. It's time for show notes. You've all been warned. It's time for show notes.
All right. Well, this was a great show. I am so happy you were able to find the time to come and visit us. And hopefully, as your adventures expand, you'll be able to come back and tell us more about your adventure. And hello, Pudgy Hedgehog. We got the question. So she likes no-bake cookies, just so you know. Yes, he asks the question. The hard-hitting questions. So yes, he hugs everybody, yes. With your upcoming drone, will you be water balloon visiting Sandra and Raymond? Where?
Tell them.
Yeah. Let's see. Allison is saying good night. Good night, Allison. Glad you could be here.
Good night, sir.
Okay, so let me start thanking everybody who was here. We had Allison. Good night, Allison. We had Tim from FKHC 2005. We had Herc 130. We had Julie Whitener. This is the mother unit. Thank you for coming and supporting your daughter as she goes through her first worldwide interview. I think only through Canada, but this will be heard worldwide. Pudgy Hedgehog, thank you, and I'm sure Cobalt's out there. Cobalt Ball, there you go. And that is everybody who visited the chat. You are most welcome. You are most welcome. And then the amazing. glad to have you here. Working on planes. Do you count planes to fall asleep instead of sheep?
That's right. I have dreams about flying them too. I'm serious.
I do too. I do too. Snorter Pooper said fun show. And now let's let me thank my stalwart lifeguards. First off, our producer, Sandra. Thank you very much, honey. I love you. And hey, thanks for everything. This was a great show. Legatus Legionai. Thank you again. And your questions were spot on. They were awesome. They were absolutely awesome. And of course, can't forget our very own bear. Snorkelbots! Uber.stream. Hashtag roar. Stay safe. Stay dry. And hope you're feeling better, buddy. Okay, so that is it. And please put an SQ, but put an SQB out there. Show our support for Snort. He's got some he had some dental work, which is always fun. And he's also in the path of that nasty hurricane that's coming up the coast. So please show your support for our very own bear, Snorter Poopus. And finally, I'm sure people are wondering, at this time, I know nothing. I do not know anything about the results to my medical procedure. Hopefully I'll know something by Just Cause or the Sunday show. So if you want, you can put an RF out there. And I greatly appreciate it. I love prayers, and I want to get this. I want to find out. And let's see. Legatus asks, Julie, so how did she do? Does she get an extra eclair for next dinner? Oh, that's so sad. Please put an RT out there because Rod Thunderheart's mother passed away today. Oh, that's sad. Julie says that you did great. The mom approves.
Couldn't do without you, Mama.
All right. So please put an RT out there, put a Snorter Poopus, and if you guys want to, you can put an RF out for me. And you guys will be one of the first ones to know when I find out about my medical. So, all right. This is it. Kiriah, once again, thank you very much. This was a blast. I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed it.
I did. Thanks.
You're welcome. And so I want you all to be safe. I want you all to be happy. We will see you Sunday for our Just Cause KW. Who's KW? Oh, yes. KW. Yay, Kiriah. Yay. Oh, yeah. Yay, Kiriah. All right. So everybody have a great night. See you guys Sunday. And let's keep making some waves.